All right, good afternoon, team. It is December 17, 2022. It is roughly 2:45 p.m. Eastern time here in Miami, Florida. Today, I'm going to be giving a walking tour of one of my favorite neighborhoods in all of Miami. Now, this is Normandy Shores or Normandy Isles. It sits right in between 72nd Street in Miami, Florida. You can see this is North Shore Drive on the corner of Fairway Drive. Now, this is actually its own private island. As you could tell, it has its own security gate, so the only people allowed here are residences. As you can see, beautiful waterway here. Now, one of the things I like the most about this particular neighborhood is it actually has, I think, 2 tennis courts, a soccer field, a beautiful playground if you have kids or anything like that. But it actually sits on a golf course, so you can play golf if you're a member of the course. So let's take a little bit of a walk around. Now, I remember back in 2015, I actually was looking at a piece of property right here on North Shore Drive. And at the time, the property was going for around, I think, $550,000. As of recording today's video, you pretty much can't find any single family home or duplex on this island for less than $1 million. Kind of crazy. Now, interest rates have been going up, right? We're just coming off the back of 4 consecutive 75 basis point rate hikes, as well as an additional 50 basis point rate hike. So mortgage rates are moving up. That should put some pressure on the housing market. But enough with the finance talk. Notice how gorgeous all of these homes are. We're going to be doing a narrated walk, but I also want to do some walking while I'm being quiet, so you guys can really take in the beauty of the neighborhood, the sights, and the sounds. Now, obviously, this is towards Christmas time, so a lot of the homes are going to be decorated with Christmas lights. But I wanted to point out one thing. I want you to notice the difference in some of the homes here in the neighborhood. Now, you'll notice the vast majority of the homes on the right side of the block, right on the waterway, tend to be totally remodeled, totally rebuilt. And that's because over the past couple of years, so many people have been moving here to Miami. They've been buying some of the original type homes. You can kind of see the very original style Miami homes built on concrete slab, single story, 3-bedroom to 2-bathroom. They've been buying them and totally tearing them down and making them absolutely gorgeous. So this is my favorite neighborhood. Notice the contrast between some of the older looking homes, which are still beautiful, by the way, but some of the newer ones. Extremely quiet here. Now, obviously, since this isn't accessible to the public, it is a gated community. You're not going to get a lot of street noise. You're not going to have a lot of cars whizzing in and out. Only the cars who actually belong to the neighborhood. I'll give you a view, a shot of some of the older style homes. Now, if you notice these hedges or bushes right here, this is actually called Clusia. And in my home, a little bit north of here, I actually planted these exact same hedges all along the perimeter of the home. And the reason why I did that, so if you're looking to move to Miami, I would highly advise not spending a lot of money on traditional fences, right? So the plastic fences or the wooden fences, because you're going to need to repair them over time. The Clusia will actually grow upwards of 20 feet tall over time if you don't trim them. And it's going to provide you with unbelievable natural privacy. And there's nothing better than natural privacy. Very low maintenance, very low cost. I think I put Clusia around the entire perimeter of my home for less than $500. Now here's a perfect example, guys. The home we're looking at right now, it is absolutely gorgeous, but it's one of the older style, more original Miami homes that are located here on Normandy Shores and Normandy Isles. Now, as we walk down about a few meters here, you're actually going to see what I've been talking about at the beginning of the video, where developers and very wealthy, affluent people have actually been buying on Normandy Shores, on Normandy Isles, and totally doing a complete rip and replace on a lot of the property here. But before I show you that, this style driveway has been very popular here in Miami, Florida. Sort of like this wraparound double walkway. And if you notice, this is actually artificial grass. And I think it looks pretty good. I've seen some artificial grass where it doesn't look good, but this particular property has done a fantastic job with that. And this is exactly what we're talking about. Look at the very, very different modern style architecture. That's probably about a 20-foot entrance in this home. And I can only imagine the views of the waterway in the back. And it looks like right across the street, we have one of these homes for sale. Now, this is a very charming home. It looks like it was just resurfaced. The roof actually looks rather new, maybe about 10 years old. I like what they did with the wraparound driveway there. But if I had a feeling, you see this empty vacant lot here, somebody's probably going to buy this and develop an amazing, massive home on here. Let me try to give you a shot above the fence so you can sort of see the views that these homes have here. So you could sort of see here just how tall these Clusia are. I would say that plant is probably about 2 to 3 years old, maybe a little bit older, but it's still providing a lot of nice coverage. They almost remind me of the Hampton hedges, if anybody's ever been to Southampton. I'm from Long Island, New York, but the Hampton hedges provide so much coverage. It almost covers the entire home, sort of like these. This is another gorgeous home here on Normandy Shores. Looks like the home adjacent from where we're walking is for sale. I'm sure that will be bought and probably redeveloped. Here's another one of the homes that you could tell was completely gut renovated, remodeled. It pretty much looks like they probably bought the property, tore it entirely down, and then built a beautiful, beautiful home, detached garage. You can only imagine the views from inside. Now, as we continue to walk down the block here, this is a beautiful, beautiful tree. Look at how really, really unique. I always love walking down this particular block and looking at this very, very unique tree right here at the entrance to the driveway. But as we walk down, I'm actually gonna make a right, and I'm gonna show you guys a little glimpse of the view that the vast majority of the homes here on Normandy Shores, if you live on the northern part of North Shore Drive, that they have. I think you guys are gonna love that. This is another really nice property here. Notice how quiet. All right, so we've reached the corner of Varden Street. Now I want to direct your attention to the right. This is another prime example of the massive redevelopment that has been going on. Look at how gorgeous this home is. It actually has its own barrier wall, tons of landscaping, very, very well kept. But there's actually public space at the end of the block where you can have a glimpse into the views of what the majority of the homes on the northernmost side of the street have. And depending on the time of year, sometimes you could actually see dolphins or manatees swimming in the water. Extremely beautiful. Now I'll give you guys a panoramic sweeping view. Extremely peaceful, extremely quiet. The homes across the waterway here are absolutely fantastic. Maybe we'll have to do a walking tour over there someday. And the good thing about this is if you have a home here, you could actually park and dock your boats, your jet skis, everything. The water appears to be very clean. I'll give you guys a shot of the water. You can see almost all the way to the bottom. But my favorite part about this exact spot here is right during sunsetting time. It is an unbelievable sunset, some of the best sunsets you're ever gonna see here in Southern Florida. If you look all the way out to the distance, you could actually see somebody look to be paddleboarding or kayaking. All right, let's head back in and I'm gonna show you guys the golf course. If you look straight ahead, you can actually see it a little bit. Now, if I had to make a bet, I think over the next 5 to 10 years, you're gonna see this entire neighborhood of all the original homes, such as the one we see here. They're probably all going to be bought up and totally remodeled, very, very similar to what we see exactly across the street. Now, when I've been touring this neighborhood all the way back in 2014 and 2015, just the change in that short amount of time, almost 8 years now, is really unbelievable. And I see that change continuously accelerating as we head into 2023. Only a couple weeks left, a couple days left of the new year. So once again, just as a reminder where we are, this is North Shore Drive and Varden Street. Let's continue walking a little bit down North Shore Drive, because as we head further west, I believe this is west, you're gonna start to see more and more homes becoming redeveloped. Wow, look at these. Extremely quiet block. Now I'm going to give you another view and notice the difference in change between the original homes, probably from the late 60s and 70s, still very beautiful pieces of property, to the new and improved, totally remodeled homes and landscaping. Now, before the pandemic, you could actually find 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home right here on Normandy Shores for probably around $550, $575. But really during the COVID pandemic, you saw this massive migration to Southern Florida, and a lot of northerners, I call them snowbirds, really scooped up a lot of these properties here. And the Southern Florida real estate market really took off. I think if you look at the data, some very specific segments here in Southern Florida had the largest price appreciation. This looks like they're building a massive, probably mega mansion here, out of the vast majority of housing markets in the entire United States. Now, one of the things that does happen, and we saw this with the 2008 financial crisis leading up to the '08, the markets that tend to have the highest price appreciation tend to correct the most during times of economic downturn. And we've talked about how the Federal Reserve is sucking liquidity out of the environment. We're coming off the back of 4 consecutive 75 basis point rate hikes, with an additional 50 basis point rate hike at the conclusion of the FOMC meeting 3 days ago. So you're seeing interest rates go up, which is going to significantly increase the cost of money. And what we're seeing all across the United States is real estate and property values are coming down. But I've been watching specific neighborhoods here in Miami, and the more upscale neighborhoods seem to be holding up rather well. And you still cannot, if you go on Zillow, any of the major real estate websites, you still cannot get a home for under $1 million on Normandy Shores. So during the pandemic, you had so many northerners come and buy property and bid up the prices of homes, apartments, multifamily complexes here in Southern Florida. And now, Miami, Florida is almost as expensive as where I come from, New York City. Now we'll make a right here, and you're actually going to be able to see the waterway again. And then we'll make a left on Mitchell Street, where you'll be able to see the golf course. But again, notice as we continue to make our way down, exactly what we've been talking about. Tons of redevelopment, brand new pieces of property. And this should in turn bring up the property values of a lot of the homes here that haven't been redone, that haven't been remodeled. I remember very specifically looking at a piece of property right around $550 to $575. Now, you probably couldn't buy that home for less than $1 million today, and this was 2015. So talk about crazy price appreciation. Wow, look right across the waterway here. This is a very unique home. It looks like they're rebuilding the entire dock. You could see this property right here actually raised or elevated the seawall. You could see the boat dock and the lift as well to get the boat out of the water. You can see a little bit of the sunset in the distance, but it is a cloudy day here in Miami. Okay, now we're gonna walk straight down. And you'll be able to see the golf course. And you could see a very quiet neighborhood, everybody walking around. Sometimes you'll see golf carts moving in and out of the neighborhood as well. So the next street we're going to be coming up against is called Fairway Drive. And this is actually the same street that I was referring to when I was talking about that property that was going for roughly $550. This was back in 2015. Love all of these trees here. Just amazing landscaping. So if you live on Fairway Drive, you actually live, quite literally, on a golf course. And here it is. You'll notice how very well, pristinely maintained the neighborhood is, the golf course is. All right, let's continue to walk down. And you'll notice if you want to pull up Zillow yourself, you could see obviously that the more affordable homes, I should say, are obviously going to be on Fairway Drive, because even though you're close to the water, you're close enough, you're not right on it. And obviously real estate demands a premium close you are to the water, generally speaking. Now, this is a good example of what I was talking about the Clusia. Look at how tall they grow. This is probably about 17 feet. And if you don't trim them, they'll actually be taller than this. So instead of spending, $10,000 to $20,000, depending on the size of your property, for a wooden fence or a metal gate, I really think a natural Clusia fence line looks better, and it's obviously going to last a lifetime. Pretty much very little or no maintenance. And obviously the climate here in southern Florida is perfect for the growth of these plants. Here's another shot of the golf course. You could actually see the country club in the distance as we walk all the way around North Shore Drive. We'll actually run right into it. Speaking of a home for sale, looks like this has a for sale sign outside. Maybe at the conclusion of the video, I'll do some research and we'll see how much this particular home is going for. So here actually looks like one of the greens. Maybe this is the tee box. Yeah, you'll notice you have your tee boxes right here. This may be the start of one of the holes. Very unique to live literally right across the street from a golf course. Every night you could take a walk. It's probably about a 2.5 mile loop around your neighborhood. Very peaceful. Now notice, we could probably count on one hand the amount of cars that have driven through as we were doing this walking tour. And again, that's because I want to remind you, in order to drive on this island, you either have to be a resident or know somebody. So there is a gated community here. And on the northernmost side, it actually has a security guard. Now, I'm not sure if there's HOA fees. Maybe it's like a $50 to $100 a year just to keep things running with security. But that is a big plus, especially if you have kids. You want to make sure you're raising them in an environment. If they want to play in the street, there's going to be very, very little low risk for a lot of through traffic, cars, trucks, work vehicles. Wow, now this is going to look fantastic. So notice the height difference. This is exactly what I was talking about. You can notice the height difference between the Clusia down there and the Clusia here. It's probably going to take, I don't know, I'd say about 2 or 3 more years for the Clusia to reach maturity height, which is around 20 feet. Now, if you do give them fertilizer and you water them regularly, they do grow very, very fast with low maintenance. But these should be just the same height as those over there in probably about 2 to 3 years, assuming you put fertilizer on them and water them. This is a very unique palm. Okay, we are coming up to the country club. You'll notice all of the golfers teeing off here, the first hole. Now, the closer we get to the country club, you're gonna see right across the street are probably the most valuable homes on this island. And I believe one of them is for sale too. You're just gonna see how massive they are. I think that was the first car we've seen in a long time coming by, and it looked like that was staff for the community here. Once again, in the distance, you'll see the golfers teeing off. Now, it was actually a cooler day in Miami. Now, a lot of people, they say one of the drawdowns of being in Miami, Florida, is the heat and humidity. But you'll notice as you get towards the winter months, like for example, today's December 17th, it's a Saturday, and it was overcast almost all day. Very, very low humidity. The high was about 75. All of this week, the temperatures are actually going to get down into the mid 60s at night, and that feels really, really nice. So there's about 4 to 5 months here in southern Florida, Miami specifically, where the temperature is actually quite moderate. Relatively low humidity, and at night temperatures can get down into the 60s. Very seldom, but it does happen. You can get temperatures coming down into the 50s. So again, here we notice you have the original homes here, Normandy Isles, and you have the fully redeveloped mansion style, very, very big. This one looks still to be under construction here on the corner of North Shore Drive and Fairway. Maybe I'll come up on the sidewalk to give you a little bit of a better view of all three of them. So I think there's 2 that are for sale. I think this one coming up may be my favorite, and it is actually placed right on the entrance to the golf club. And here we have it across the street, the entrance to the country club. And here's another beautiful home. Right across the street from the Normandy Shores Golf Club here in beautiful Miami Beach. And we'll end the video. I'll show you guys the tennis courts, and there's also an outdoor workout facility, which is rather nice. And here is the last very beautiful mega mansion here. Now, if I had to make a prediction, I think that over the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to see this trend continue. You're going to see more homes being bought on Normandy Shores, Normandy Isles, and you're going to see them being torn down and built up into these very big, vast monstrosity style homes. And here we have the tennis courts. And again, very, very family-friendly community here. You have a free public access. It is open from sunrise to sunset. Totally free and open and available to the public. I'll try to give you guys a sneak peek of the tennis courts. And here's the newly elevated seawall. And you could notice this, notice the difference. And this is all brand new. I mean, I've been touring this neighborhood since 2015. This just went in probably about a year ago. This is how low the seawall used to be. And they've probably elevated it about 5 feet. Wow, check out that boat right over there. So that, my friends, has been our walking tour of one of my favorite neighborhoods here in Miami, Florida, Normandy Shores, Normandy Isles. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like and hit the subscribe button for more videos, more walking tours between New York City and Miami, and join us nightly for our live streams starting at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Bye for now, and I will see you all in the next video.
Quick. Que ahí te duermes. Por algo.